Hello, today we are going to be talking about the order of operations, and at the end of this video, hopefully you'll be able to say I can simplify expressions using order of operations. So why do we use the order of operations? Why do they exist? So it's just like with this spoken word, we need to put things in a certain order for them to make sense, and in order for us to be able to communicate with each other. The same thing applies to mathematics. So mathematicians all over the world follow these same rules so that we can understand each other and get the same answers when we are looking at things, or be able to communicate to each other in that same way. So the order of operations is called PEMDAS, or at least that is the word acronym that can be put with it. So our P stands for parentheses or brackets or any other grouping symbols. So P comes first. So that means we have to do them in a certain order. It's the order of the operations that we're going to do. So operations can happen inside of these parentheses, and that is when we want to do these first. For instance, in our problem here, we see that we have 4 minus 1, which is an operation, subtraction, that is inside of the parentheses. And that tells me that I have to do this part first. So these can look like parentheses. They can be these right here that look like this. I'm going to draw them a little bigger. The brackets look like that. So these are all grouping symbols. So if there's something occurring inside of these that is an actual operation, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or exponents, I need to take care of that first. The second thing that we take care of are the exponents. So that E stands for exponents. And exponents can be roots, they can be absolute values, and we calculate these from left to right. So if I have more than 1, I'm going to start on the left, just like I would read a book, and go across to the right. The third thing that we see there, we have multiplication and division. And we're going to think of them together. That's hard to see there, because we are also going to do that from the left to the right, and that is our third step there. So the MD stands for multiplication and division. And we do whichever one comes first when you calculate from left to right. So once again, just like I'm reading a book, I would look at my math problem and go from the left to the right. The fourth thing that we take care of is AS, is addition and subtraction. And once again, I do whichever one comes first from left to right. So let's take a look at our problem here, our example, and then we're going to do a couple other examples working through. So we said we need to do parentheses first when there is an operation going on inside of it. So operations can be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or something to do with exponents. And you're going to get more and more into those exponents this year and next year. So this first one right here, I have 4 minus 1. I need to do that first because that is actually an operation that is occurring. So 4 minus 1 is 3. So that is where our 3 comes from in that problem. Now you'll notice that the rest of the problem comes right down exactly how it was before. None of the signs have changed. None of the other numbers have changed. Our second step then is to take care of these exponents. When I have 3 squared, or 3 to the second power, that means I'm going to take this base number times itself, in this case 2 times, because there's a 2 there. If I had had a 4 there, I would have done 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 4 times. That is where we get this 9 at. Now once again, you notice the rest of the problem has come down exactly the same. The only thing that I've changed in that one step is that 3 squared became a 9. I've simplified that. These are equal to each other. We're just trying to simplify this down as much as we can by combining things that we are allowed to. The third step here is multiplication and division, and we're going to take it from the left to the right. So on the left side of my problem here, the first thing I run into that's multiplication or division is this division problem. 25 divided by 5. When I do 25 divided by 5, I get 5 as an answer. Now I still then have this 3 that was right there, and it comes down. My subtraction sign, my 9, my addition sign, and the 3. So I still have this as multiplication. So when I see a number right next to parentheses with a single number inside, then this is multiplication. And when I'm ready to take care of this right here, because it is all the multiplication and division I have left, starting from the left over here, so 5 times 3 is 15. I once again bring down this subtract 9, add 3. Now I'm down to just addition and subtraction. This is my last step and last thing that I'm allowed to simplify. So now I'm going to go from the left to the right again. So I'm not going to add these first. Addition does not come first. I have to go from left to right. So 15 minus 9 is 3. So that is, or 6 rather, that is where that came from. And then I still have the plus 3. So the last thing I have left is this one addition problem, and the answer is 9. This original equation is also equal to 9. This is another way to write the number 9. A much more complicated to write the number 9, but still another way to write the number 9. This is also another way to write the number 9. It's just not simplified all the way down. So all of these lines are equivalent to 9. It was just that we needed to simplify these out to get that down to one single digit. So I talked about those parentheses, and this is important here. So all the things that you're seeing on my paper are things that you should be writing down on in your notes as well. So when I look at any parentheses, parentheses can say 3 different things. They communicate 3 different things or have 3 different meanings. If it's a number and then the parentheses are right here, and then there's another number, this tells me to multiply. So I could simplify this by saying 2 times 3 is 6. This one right here, with negatives, all this is doing is separating. If we have an addition sign and a subtraction sign next to each other, sometimes they get mixed in together and it's hard to tell where they're at. So we use these parentheses for separation. And if I were to do that problem, 2 plus negative 3, I would get an answer of negative 1. When I see an actual operation occurring inside the parentheses, that's when it tells me to do it first. If I see one of these, that does not mean I need to do it first, especially if there's exponents or something else that would typically come before it in our list on PEMDAS, in our order of operations. So for this one, I would need to do this first, and so then I would end up with 4 times 5, because the 2 plus 3 were in parentheses and the 4 came right up against it. There's no operation sign in here. So since they're right next to each other, that means I would multiply. Now exponents, as we spoke about before, whatever this number is, that tells me how many of the base number I need to multiply times itself. So 2 to the third is actually 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 being 4, and then 4 times 2 giving me 8. If I had 4 to the 5th power, I would say 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So I have 5 4s that I'm multiplying times each other. We're going to try a couple of practice problems together. So my first one here, I look at it and I have 2 different sets of parentheses. This set of parentheses says do me first, and this set says multiply. So I need to do this one first. So then I'm going to have 4 times 2 that stays out front that I'm not going to touch yet. And then I've got 2 times, well, 6 plus 5 is 11. Now I have 2 multiplication problems with an addition symbol in between. I'm going to do this multiplication problem first because it's on the left. So 4 times 2 is 8. And then 2 times 11 is 22. And then 8 plus 22 is 30. Now, as I'm doing these examples, you are more than welcome to pause the video, to write them down, to try them out yourself, and then watch the video to see if you get it right. Our next problem here, do I have parentheses? So I can always go ahead and write these steps down to try to help myself remember. So I have parentheses, so I want to take care of that first. Everything else comes down exactly as it was before. I then see that I have exponents, so 4 squared means 4 times 4. So this becomes 16. I then am going to do my multiplication before my addition. Then I have 16 plus 12. When I combine those, I have 28. This last one's kind of a doozy. We have parentheses inside of parentheses. Don't get scared. We're going to take care of this one, then we're going to take care of this one, and then we'll get involved with that plus sign that's in between the two of them. So this one over here are my parentheses inside of my parentheses. I need to take care of these ones first. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. Now I have 4 times 3, and it's 12. Because that plus sign is there, I'm not going to have to multiply this times anything else. It's not right next to parentheses or brackets, so I can go ahead and get rid of my brackets on this particular problem around that number. My next one here that I have, and here these parentheses don't tell me to do it first. This is just multiplication. So I'm going to take care of this exponent first. This is telling me to multiply 2 2's times themselves, so I'm going to get 4 plus 3 times 5. Now multiplication comes before addition, so I'm going to get 15. Once again, everything else stays the same. And then 4 plus 15 is 19. And when I combine the 12 and the 19 in the last step, I get 31. Here's a problem that you can try out on your own. If you would like to stop the video and see how you do to see if Sarah or Joe is correct. So as you can see, Joe is correct in this case. The answer is 21. The last ones are some practice problems for you to try before you go on to do the stations if you want a little extra help.